Why people allow themselves to be bullied, trauma, attachment and self-worth. This is the second in the video series. Hi, I'm DrTonyWeston, and today we're going to explore why some people allow themselves to be bullied. We often focus on the bully, but it's just as important to understand the mindset and emotional factors behind those who endure bullying without pushing back. This isn't about blame, it's about understanding the deep-rooted trauma, attachment styles and self-worth issues that make people vulnerable to bullying behaviour. Together we'll explore the psychological, emotional and relational dimensions at play. So firstly, the role of low self-worth and cognitive distortions. One of the main reasons people allow themselves to be bullied is low self-worth. Those with a fragile sense of self often believe, consciously or unconsciously, that they deserve mistreatment. This distorted thinking, known as a cognitive distortion, leads them to interpret harmful behaviour as normal or acceptable. This is often linked to experiences of childhood trauma or neglect, where the person learned to see themselves as unworthy or unlovable. As they grow, these early experiences become ingrained mental schemas that tell them, this is how people will treat me and I deserve it. Additionally, there's catastrophising, believing that confronting the bully will result in even worse consequences. This fear keeps them from standing up for themselves, leaving them trapped in a cycle of passive acceptance. Secondly, trauma responses and emotional dysregulation. Another key factor is trauma responses. People who have experienced trauma, particularly in childhood, often develop responses like fawn or freeze as coping mechanisms. The fawn response is rooted in people-pleasing behaviours where the individual tries to placate the bully, believing that compliance will stop the harm. This is a survival tactic, an attempt to avoid conflict by making oneself agreeable or invisible. The freeze response is a form of emotional paralysis. The person becomes so overwhelmed by fear or anxiety that they feel powerless to act. They may literally freeze in situations where they're being bullied, unable to speak up or defend themselves. These trauma responses are automatic and deeply ingrained. They are protective mechanisms that were developed in childhood but no longer serve the person in adulthood. Thirdly, attachment styles and fear of rejection. Attachment styles formed during early childhood are another major factor in why people allow themselves to be bullied. Those with an anxious attachment style often fear rejection or abandonment. They may tolerate bullying behaviour because they believe that standing up for themselves will lead to the loss of a relationship, whether that's a friendship, romantic partner or colleague. Similarly, people with disorganised attachment often experience mixed signals when it comes to relationships. Their early caregivers may have been sources of both love and fear, making it difficult for them to set healthy boundaries. As adults, they may struggle to navigate relationships where power dynamics are unbalanced, leading to cycles of victimisation. In these cases, the underlying fear is one of rejection sensitivity, an amplified fear of being cast aside or devalued. Bullies often take advantage of this vulnerability, knowing that their victim will be reluctant to defend themselves. Fourthly, marginalised groups and identity-based bullying. We also need to address how issues of difference, like racism, sexism, classism, or other forms of discrimination, make certain individuals more vulnerable to bullying. People from marginalised groups often face systematic inequality, which can compound their sense of powerlessness. This can make it even harder for them to assert themselves when faced with bullying. For example, a person facing racism in the workplace may feel like they can't speak up for fear of being dismissed or retaliated against. Someone experiencing sexism may fear that pushing back against a bully could lead to further marginalisation or career setbacks. In these instances, the person's identity intersects with their vulnerability to bullying. How to break the cycle of victimisation? Breaking free from the cycle of allowing oneself to be bullied starts with recognising these patterns, whether it's low self-worth, trauma responses or attachment issues. Therapy is one of the most effective ways to address these deep-rooted emotional patterns. Learning to reframe cognitive distortions, strengthen emotional resilience and set healthy boundaries are key steps in this process. Building a support system, whether through friends, colleagues or mental health professionals, can help those who feel isolated or powerless. And for individuals from marginalised groups, finding allies who understand the systemic pressures they face can be a crucial part of healing and reclaiming their power. Remember, allowing yourself to be bullied isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of deeper emotional wounds that can be healed with time, care and support.